Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is RosterWatch. My name is Alex Dunlap. I'm joined by Cody Carpentier and the Trash Man as we are maniacally updating cheat sheets ahead of this big, just a monster weekend. We have college football starting tonight for week one. We have college football on Friday night. We have SEC games Thursday and Friday. Then, of course, on Saturday, 3 monster college football games. And we know you guys are going to be getting together with your friends, family, and gathering to have your fantasy football drafts. Make sure that you have the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet downloaded. We are having to update these things constantly with the changing ADPs, with some of these new situations coming out. We want to make sure that you dominate with every single pick in your draft. And the way that you can do it is by getting a pro membership at rosterwatch.com. It's $9.99, downloading a cheat sheet, and then right after that, we go into next week. I'll put up the content schedule. You'll get the matchup tool. You'll get all the DFS cheat sheets. You'll get our player prop cheat sheets. You'll like everything that we Trash Man's flex rankings, the touchdown dependency. I guess touchdown dependency won't go up until next week. Snap counts, touches, and targets. Look, it's going to be more than you can even handle. And if you don't even want to handle it all, you can just distill it down to just come into the comment section of the pro articles and just ask us your questions about who do I start. Or who should I pick up in waivers, and we'll just answer you. That's what we do at the Roster Watch fam. All right, guys, a lot to get to today. Cody, what do you have on this whole Kyren Williams swindle that could be abounding?
I didn't see this coming. I don't really understand it. Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur was quoted as saying that the plan is to split those up a little bit and distribute between Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, whether it's the run game or the pass game. And my instant reaction was, if I'm Jarquez Hunter, what am I, chopped liver? Like, this is like, you look at Blake Corum, we've talked about this many a time, in Blake Corum's efficiency drop-off since 2023 when he suffered his knee injury. Yes, he ran the ball a lot in 2023 when he returned from the knee injury at Michigan, but it was not efficient in any way, shape, or form, receiving or rushing the football. This guy's caught 34 footballs over the last 3 total seasons. So can he do it? Yes, sure. But is he going to be the most efficient? Is he going to be anywhere near Kyren in the receiving game? No. And it's from rushing the football, like I just said, his efficiency's dropped off significantly the last 3 years, and Jarquez Hunter's has only continued to get better at Auburn. So I kind of really, it's kind of the coach speak thing, right? The coach speak radar that they do on X. It's like, I wonder how much of this is really true, but that's what they reported. The plan is to split up and distribute some rush and receiving game work between Corum and Kyren Williams.
Trash Man, if that's the case, I mean, there shouldn't even be a discussion. Well, for one, do we believe that? Do we believe late breaking rumors? Because for me, it was like I got back in on Kyren. I became interested in Kyren whenever they gave him the new contract. Yep. I'm just like, he's had the best usage of anybody. I mean, he's been just atop the league as far as all the. Now that's just usage. Right, he hasn't always been the most efficient, but it's been he's been an awesome volume play. And if they're saying that something that could cut into that volume, it really makes me scared. It makes me scared. And honest, if we believe this, even like 60% believe it, I think then this issue that I've been having with comparing him to a guy like Bucky Irving, who Byron comes back from Bucs camp and says, "Dude, Rachaad White's still a big part of that thing." You start to think, well, do I really want Bucky Irving, who I think might get hurt if they keep on using him this same way this year, versus a Kyren Williams that's been relatively durable during just a massive workhorse role. If it looks like Kyron's going to be splitting the time, I think it makes it a little bit easier just to say, I think you just go with the ADP and take Bucky over him.
To me, it's more interesting on Corum's side of things.
Okay, well, that's the easy way out. What do you think about Kyren Williams versus Bucky Irving?
I mean, I've always preferred Bucky Irving as a player
for fantasy.
I prefer him for fantasy too.
Because that's the only prism through which you look at.
Yeah, that's the only prism, Alex. I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible at this stuff.
But dude, it's a fantasy football show, right? So is it Kyren, or so it's always, because you said I always like Bucky as a player, but for fantasy, I'm just trying to clarify. You like Bucky Irving better in fantasy football?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's never been a question for you.
I mean, it's never been a question as far as if I'm drafting somebody, I'm drafting one of the two. I mean, Cody knows this too when we were talking about the dynasty rankings too. Bucky Irving has always been one of my favorite running backs.
So, Cody, have you been questioning those two?
I mean, I have them back to back on the half and standard sheet right now, like literally back to back. And that's giving no iota to this, conversation from the offensive coordinator LaFleur coming out. It's just, they're just back to back. And
I think they kind of need to be, because the guys that have come up right after them, I mean,
Travion.
I don't think James Cook. James Cook is like, when you look at James Cook, you wonder, talk about a guy that splits so much of the load, and talk about a guy that was just carried by his touchdowns last season. I mean, just carried by his touchdowns. We could easily see that regress. And then Omarian Hampton, we'll talk about him in a little while with Najee Harris coming back. It's hard to it feels like Bucky Irving and Kyron Williams. I prefer Chase Brown to both of those guys, but it feels like after that, it's a teardrop to where it's like, I think you in PPR, you can consider Kamara there, right? You can consider James Cook there. You can consider, I don't still think you can consider Omarian Hampton there. We'll talk about him in a minute.
What about Travion?
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't have to take Travion there, because we're talking end of second round.
I mean,
right?
In the half and standard sheet, that's where you got to take Travion. Travion's right after Kyron and Bucky.
Okay. Well, so where do you have, well, it's like we're splitting hairs here. I have Travion as running back 15. Where do you have him?
13.
Okay. And that's obviously a structural thing that's just different. I get all the Travion in the world. I get Travion I get him in almost every draft. I had to move him down to 15 because I wanted to also make sure that I was not leaving us out on Jackson Smith and Jigba. And the only way to do that was to play the ADP game with him and James Cook, and technically get James Cook ahead of Travion. But James Cook goes 20 spots ahead of Travion as far as the real-time data. So I wanted to be able to where I like getting Travion instead of in the third round is if I'm picking if I'm getting to pick at like the 30, the 308 and the 404 or whatever it is. I like to be able to have a shot to get JSN and to get Travion, as opposed to get Travion and then have fall into a situation where it's like, next up I have to look at like some kind of Devontae Adams or whatever, Marvin Harrison. Not that I don't like Marvin Harrison. I prefer JSN. Anyway, so that's the reason why I think if I was just listing them out without having to play the ADP games and look at this cross positionally as far as opportunity cost, I would have Travion as running back 13. I would have him as running back 13.
Is Chuba a better play than Bucky or Kyron at this point?
I'm
not saying we're going to move Chuba ahead of these guys in the sheet, because the ADP is like 15 to 22 spots different, at least in half. What I'm saying is Chuba in Carolina with a top 6 offensive line a better play than dealing with the Bucky Rashad dynamic, injuries in Tampa Bay's offensive line, a Rams battered offensive line, and a potential Corum or Jarquez Hunter earache? Is Chuba just a better play?
It's a safer play.
I can't make my mind think about it like that, because I'm getting a bunch of Chuba on the sheet, but if I don't want to break the sheet, and the
question is more about like percentages. Like, would you rather have a higher percentage of Chuba or a higher percentage of Kyron or Bucky?
Oh, getting Chuba at the 4 in PPR, right now you can get him anywhere from like the 411 to like the 505.
Yeah.
So something like that. I definitely prefer Chuba in that range than getting Kyron Williams at the 211.
Yeah.
So I think that's a total block for sure, man. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Now, is that where Omarian Hampton goes now? Because Najee Harris is back at practice, and they're saying he's probably going to play in week 1. What do you think there's a chance, Trash Man, that he could go out there and play and just try to play and his eyes kind of messed up and he's just not really that good?
I doubt it. I don't think they put him out there if that was the case. I mean, they have Hampton. I don't think it's this kind of situation where if he wasn't ready, if he wasn't able to do it and able to do it successfully, they wouldn't do that with Harris. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I understand. I can totally understand where you're coming from. With that being said, I kind of think the coaches sometimes are real cavemen. They just say like, just get him out there. See, it's just an eye. Maybe they have to see it him be bad with their own two eyes before before they realize this isn't going to work.
What are the ramifications of it? I mean, like, what are you implying?
I'm just
getting swindled, completely swindled on Omarian Hampton.
Yeah, just drafting
Omarian Hampton or swindled on Harris. Because the thing is,
I'm talking about this I'm framing this in the way of, in the way of, I don't think you can get swindled on Najee Harris right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you can either.
The pick is, it's like, what even is his ADP? Like I like 133.
I don't think it matters.
I have Najee Harris as my fifth running back.
Well, right. But, okay, so
on your roster. Okay.
On one of them, Trashman, have you drafted your super high stakes draft yet?
No.
Oh, in that one, are you going to go after these guys like Najee Harris?
It's so relative. He's not a player I would angle for, because the thing is, in that kind of league, because it's a 10-team league, you have to draft your starting roster first of all, and then you can worry about players like that. So
you don't. I would say that. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that people sometimes get messed up is they say, "Oh, it's a 14-team league. You got to make sure you get your starting roster going." I'm like, "Well, no, dude. It's like in 10-team leagues is where you really care about having the good tight end, the good quarterback, all the rest."
And that's the kind of league it is. It's a 10-team league, so that's what I'm worried about first. And Najee Harris will not come into that conversation for starting.
But I guarantee you, man, you're playing for you're playing $20K an entry. How all right? Let's just say that league. How could you ever take Omarian Hampton where he's going right now with the threat of Najee now being an actual real threat? Omarian Hampton right now is going in the third round.
You can't.
And like not everybody plays in a that kind of buy-in league, but we all care about our leagues, man. Like I don't think that he's I was legitimately under the.
No, you're not drafted. I don't know how you can draft Hampton in the third round in any format.
And thankfully, on the cheat sheet so far, I've been super worried about the fact that we were getting so little exposure to him. But I thought even with the fact that I'd sort of bought into this idea that Najee was going to be out and swindled for quite a while, right? I even kind of bought into it. But I'm like, I'm not getting him. I'm not getting Omarian Hampton over Travion.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I'm
not gonna like. I can't do it. And I even started having trouble with that area you were talking about, with the area that brought us into this conversation. The Chuba Hubbards, the Breece Halls, the Ken Walkers. I started thinking, maybe could I think of him like a James Conner? I'm like, well, James Conner's been like he's been really good, and I haven't seen anything out of Trey.
Think of Omarian Hampton as a James Conner?
No, I'm saying when you get down to when we get down to the James Conner range, I'm still thinking what I preferred.
No,
Hampton to Conner, like, well, but you have to take into account, like,
you might have to start thinking about Hampton in the Trey Benson range.
What? So wait, hold up. Okay, so we did this last week with a player. I can't remember who it was. Alex, where do you got Najee Harris on the sheet? Where'd you plug him in at? Because I have two spots I want to put him, and I cut it right in half, and I want to know how far off I am of where you are.
Running back 42.
All right, I got him at 45. I put him behind Ollie Gordon and Sampson and Chubb.
Okay, I have Najee Harris one spot ahead of Ollie Gordon, and I'm sandwiched between Ollie Gordon and Nick Chubb.
I think that's right. I think Cody, you have him too far back.
You think he belongs ahead of Ollie Gordon?
Yeah.
Whose segue into this is Jaylen Wright has reportedly today had a surgery and is going to be out.
You think Ollie Gordon is what are the chances of Ollie Gordon being the number one, the 1A in Miami?
Well,
I think that they're pretty high because I think that Devon Achane is going to get hurt. And then I also think that Devon Achane comes in with a calf injury that we know are just not only they're debilitating as far as their pain levels, but it's also.
I mean, but something has to happen to Devon Achane for that to happen.
It's already happened though. He's already banged up.
Yeah,
I mean, what am I saying? Just like
it's on his way to happening. I'm very scared to take Devon Achane this season.
And like that just tells me I have to rip it. They're not going to. He's got a calf injury. It's a soft tissue. It's not like it's a like.
And calf is the worst one, man. That bit
For
us.
a sprinter.
It bit us last year with Christian McCaffrey.
So
wasn't that a calf? That was a calf.
I mean, yeah. I mean, McCaffrey's had literally everything, but calf was I think last year. But like the Ollie Gordon thing, like Ollie Gordon could be your starter, like literally next week.
And Najee Harris, so could Najee Harris. I mean, he was slated to be the starter.
Yeah, but he doesn't. But Omarian Hampton was a first-round pick who's just a much better player than Najee.
He is.
So I mean,
you could argue that Trey Benson's a better player than James Conner.
It's fair.
I think it's a tough hair to split between Najee Harris and Ollie Gordon. I mean, obviously, Cody and we didn't even have a conversation about that. It's interesting that we both landed on the exact same dichotomy as far as where to have him. I ended up, for some reason, putting Najee ahead just because the situation feels like if he's back and stuff like that, he's like I said earlier, the thing that worries me about Omarian Hampton, he's probably going to be biting in. There's probably going to be like some kind of, I'd imagine with what Omarian Hampton's been able to do, he's probably going to be able to command what, a 65% opportunity share if Najee's healthy. I would think. And with Omarian Hampton and with the amount of volume that we're expecting from the Chargers run game, maybe that's enough because Omarian Hampton's that sick. And that's why I've been scared about not getting as much of him. But with Ollie Gordon, if he does ascend to where, dude, even if he ascends to where it's like he's just like it's a thunder and lightning combo with him and Achane, you can see that being valuable too, as long as that offense is humming and Mike McDaniel's able to dial things up the way he does whenever Miami is playing well, usually at the beginning of the season before they have to travel to these cold weather games up in Buffalo and all the rest.
Consider, I mean, like for week one, what are we telling players to do? Like, what are we prepping them for? Are we talking about
you got to win this week?
Are we talking about situations that are yet to happen and may not happen?
Well, but Najee Harris and Omarian Hampton's yet to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict today.
He's had a busted eye since the 4th of July.
Yeah. The Najee thing feels like it's going to be like a Wednesday next week when we start to get a little bit of clarity as far as like even what – I mean, look, he's been on the practice field for a day. I think that there's a little bit – that's going to be the tough thing about this and why his ADP is probably going to stay, I would say, in that 10th, 11th round area.
Did you guys do anything with what was the other thing that we wanted to talk about?
I want to talk about Jaylen Coker and the Thielen trade.
Okay. I have admittedly I've not moved Coker from where I had him. I probably on this next update I'll move him up. Where are you moving Coker to? My initial kind of thought is maybe you can get him up by where I have dudes like Josh Palmer and Ian Manor and Cedric Tillman and stuff, Kyle Williams, this kind of range. But that for me, we're still talking. What this made me do is it made me say, if I have a cross positional choice in that fifth, preferably 6th round between RJ Harvey and Ted McMillan, what the Adam Thielen trade made me do is say, I want to make sure I take Ted ahead of RJ Harvey and hope RJ Harvey falls to me with my next pick. I think having Thielen out really helps him. But I'm thinking, I mean, this might be embarrassing compared to, I'm thinking about moving it up to like wide receiver, like 58. Is that about where you have him?
Coker?
Yes.
Coker I have at 52. So my play was, and I've like A-Manor's been a guy that I've had next to Ollie Gordon's a couple spots ahead of him, obviously now, but A-Manor's kind of been right on that last round conversation. Same line as like Kyle Pitts, Jared Goff. That's kind of been my play. And I put Coker one spot ahead of Alec A-Manor. And I like A-Manor more than I think most people do. I think Coker fits in really well. That's been the role. And Trashman can talk about Coker as on end too. It's like that's the role for Coker, is to he was sit behind Thielen for a year, be in the back pocket, and then get the opportunity. And the opportunity's right here. And as much as I agree with you with Tet, I think Tet's a great value. He's not quite like the Malik Neighbors thing was a year ago, where it's like Tet or McMillan no matter what, like it was Malik Neighbors no matter what. But I do think Jaylen Coker is going to be, we haven't heard enough about other tight ends. The tight ends are fine in Carolina with JT Sanders and Tremble, but I think Coker has a real shot and is most likely to be the number 2 guy in targets.
Trash man, do you agree?
No, I mean, I love Coker. I love Coker as a prospect coming into the NFL. I mean, to me, the biggest question is, will Bryce Young be able to get him the ball effectively and consistently? I mean, I still have a lot of questions about Bryce Young as an NFL quarterback, and number two receiver on the Panthers isn't a terrifyingly it's not a terribly intriguing spot for me. So I do like him above Ayomanor, but I'm not getting over my skis on Coker right now, just because I'm just not confident in Bryce Young as a quarterback.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.